There are a lot of bad drivers in this country, Canada, and this driver is no exception. He came on the show called Canada's Worst Driver 2 times in 2 seasons and was on every single episode. His name is Kevin Simmons. He was from McBride, British Columbia. He first came on the show in season 8, and the day after the season premiered, he got into a crash where he skidded in an icy corner situation and wound it up in the ditch, and he suffered a broken tailbone, like his back was hurt and stuff like that. So when Kevin first came on the show, they called him One-Eyed Kevin because his right eye was made out of glass, basically. He first came on the show, and he did so bad. Like, the first time he came on the show, he only passed 2 challenges out of 23, 24, 22 challenges. It took him several episodes in just to pass 1 challenge. So during that time span, he failed every single challenge to like the 5th episode. That shows how terrible he was. And on the final drive, he did get to the final drive. On the final drive, he did something that a lot of people would shake their heads. He turned left from the middle lane, nearly cutting people off, nearly getting into crashes, running red lights, running through stop signs, stopping on crosswalks, etc., etc. And when Kevin was tied, named Canada's Worst Driver with another fellow driver, he said that he was going to keep the journey going. And Andrew informed us, saying that his journey could just lead him right to the hospital, or even worse. And if you guys and gals don't even know, it's death. Kevin has had a very delusional opinion, an unsettling opinion about how bad he could drive, and he always felt he was a good driver, and that all showcased when the next time he came on Canada's Worst Driver, which was the next year. The next year was Canada's Worst Driver Ever, where they gathered up all the worst drivers they have ever had and brought them back to the rehab center to see which one was the worst driver of all time. And Kevin, he did, I guess, a little bit better, but not by much. He was still a delusional driver about how bad he performed, how bad he was, how he sucked behind the wheel, and although he did try in the first beginning of the episodes, like he did say that if he was named Canada's Worst Driver Ever, he would cut up his license and sell his car, or if the experts say if he's dangerous, he'll stop driving altogether, no matter what. So in the beginning portion of the show, like the first couple episodes, 2 to 4 episodes, Kevin was actually trying. Like he was really trying not to be named Canada's Worst Driver Ever. He was cautious about how bad he drove and stuff, and he was actually trying. He was causing less destruction than he was. So it was showing us that he was actually trying not to be named Canada's Worst Driver. He was trying to pass all these challenges. Well, that all changed on one particular episode. The next episode, after the 4th episode, it all showcased when he wrote the experts a letter where he's saying he's going to take responsibility for his bad driving and going to become a better driver. And that was a complete lie. On the reverse challenge, the longest reverse challenge in the world, Kevin had to go backwards, but he did so bad because he was looking forwards as we were supposed to look backwards, as what he did the last season as well. We would look forwards instead of looking backwards. And Kevin was just... And when Andrew found out that Kevin loved Trans Ams, like Pontiac Trans Ams from the good old 70s, he gave him an option to go straight, in a straight line at 40 miles per hour in the Trans Am. But if he hits one thing, he has to stop the car and get out. And Kevin promised. And when he approached the cars, he was supposed to go 40, but he went 60 instead. And he clipped a mirror of a car, but he didn't stop. He kept on going. And when he made contact with the left or right front wheel, it popped. Like it exploded the tire as soon as he hit the first rim or 2 or 3 or 4. And when Kevin annihilated those rims with that tire, he ruined the poor car. And when he got out, he said, "I call this a pass." And he walked over to Andrew and said, "I blew a tire, Andrew." and that's pretty damn good, pretty darn good. Yeah, I'm not kidding. He actually said that. This is at that point where Kevin's behavior started to go down the toilet. Like, this is where he's getting delusional, getting unsettling, and after that he written another letter to the experts and Andrew, the host, saying that he has changed once yet again and he's learned from this. And Andrew even pinpointed saying that, is Kevin's letter really true? Like, really sincere? Is he just trying to get out of rehab? And sounds like he's trying to get out of rehab for being named Canada's worst driver. 2 episodes later, however, about 3 episodes later, he did get into the finals. He passed the opening challenge and he did the best on the mega challenge, but as we headed into the main drive, he sucked as bad as the last year's drive, as much as possible, but this time he couldn't finish it. Kevin, once again, cut people off from the middle lane while turning left on red lights, and he even said there's no sign against turning left. There's no sign against it by turning left on red lights, and he would drive on the wrong side of the lane, etc., etc., etc. And when Andrew's like, fuck it, I had enough. I can't drive with you no more. It's dangerous. I don't feel safe driving with you. So he put the 4-way hazards on the car, the Corvette they were driving in. When the prior year they were driving a Mustang, and that's what Kevin drove, a convertible Mustang, and this year they were driving a convertible Corvette. But when Andrew told him to get out of the car, he drove him to a parking lot, and he said, do you understand why I pulled you over? And Kevin said, I don't give a rat's fucking ass. And basically what I'm hearing is that he doesn't care about anyone's safety but his. He doesn't care about safe driving. He doesn't care about anyone. He would just go and to endanger lives for the hell of it, basically. And how did he get a license? I don't know. When he came to Worst Driver Ever, he shipped from McBride, BC to suburban Vancouver, which was Burnaby in British Columbia. And when he faced the experts, he was saying that there's rumors going around saying that he was going to keep driving no matter what, and he was being shifty to the experts, like having one extra opinion on one such thing. And another driver, when it all looked like Kevin was going to be worst driver, but there was another worst driver that came back because the episode, she got out of rehab and went to her house to break her house with her fist and sever a tendon in her finger. So when she thought she was worst driver ever, Kevin was like, no, you're not going to be worst driver ever. When Andrew said Kevin was Canada's worst driver ever, Dale was like, holy crap. So Dale left rehab, and Kevin was left there with the trophy, and Andrew told him that he had to man up and destroy his license. And when Kevin didn't want to do that, he didn't want him to do it, he didn't want Andrew to do it, he didn't want himself to do it. So he tried to backtalk his way out of doing this. So, and he tried desperately not to cut up his license. He didn't want to do it, so he finally insisted on burning his license because he really had to. Because he was told the experts like a couple weeks or a week prior that he was going to if he was named worst driver ever. So you thought that Kevin would quit driving ever? Nope. A couple months later, or after, as soon as he got back to Burnaby, British Columbia, Kevin went somewhere where they remade his license. He bought a new car, and he posted a picture of him in his new car to Andrew's Facebook homepage. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, turn on all notifications of and comment below on what you think about this guy. Anyways, catch you on the next video, guys and gals.